At the end of my last video, I had said to you that I wanted to do my next video on wind as the second sacred element. Now that was until up about 2 weeks ago on July 23rd when I attended the Six Nations on the Grand River Champion of Champions Powwow. That experience was so incredibly powerful and moving for me that I decided to take the wind knowledge and set that video aside for now. I will come back to it and share that piece with you. But I've been so moved that I really wanted to just make a video today sharing with you some of my reflections and thoughts and ponderings from the powwow, as well as kind of tuning that information into the aim and the goal of this channel. Sego, welcome back to Holistic Wellness with Michelle, my friends. The space where, when we share our knowledge together, our wisdom arises. So for those of you who don't know, a powwow is an Indigenous gathering and a celebration. It includes feasting and dancing and drumming and singing. And people and nations come from miles around, hundreds of miles around even, to attend. I must confess that this is my first ever powwow, and not because I haven't tried powwows in the past. I've tried to plan and organize, but for some reason, those plans really never came to fruition. But this one here with Six Nations, everything just seemed to align right. From the first phone call and the first conversation and text to physically driving and getting there, everything just seemed to align right. Which brings me to my first reflection. And that is, maybe the reality is that the other powwows didn't work out because I wasn't meant to start the powwow journey at them. That maybe my Mohawk ancestors had kind of an impact on shifting and moving my life experiences in such a way as to create barriers to my attending those other powwows, because ultimately my first powwow experience was meant to be at Six Nations on the Grand River. It was meant to be on the land where they came from, where aunties and uncles and cousins still reside. Which brings me to reflecting on two teachings. I hold many teachings, but two in particular fit this point, which is that we are never alone in this world, that our ancestors always walk with us. They are beside us, they are behind us, they are all around us, guiding our spirit being and moving us to life experiences that help enrich and bring power and joy and love to our life. The second point, and actually before I get to that, and they move us in such a way because they love us and they want the best for our spirit being. The second point is that there's no such thing as coincidence. That our life experiences, when we stop and think about it, align in such a way because they're meant to align in that way, to bring us teachings and lessons and learnings, because these pieces are gifts to us along our life journey. Now the second reflection is all about birds. Yes, I said all about birds. For those of you who are interested in bird medicine and bird information, bird spirituality, this section might be really interesting for you. Along our path, we met a hawks, I should say. We experienced a cardinal and we experienced a crow. So as we were, and I say we, I traveled with my friend Mary. Our mutual friend Mim traveled on her own. But Mary and I traveled as we were driving together and heading towards Six Nations. As I was moving to pick up Mary, two hawks, clearly a pair, flew in front of my car from north to south. My first thought was, wow, that was really powerful. I got really excited because I thought this is going to be an incredible day, a powerful day. Then the next thought occurred to me, which was, but I gotta be mindful. I gotta pay attention and watch for potential obstacles that will come along my path. I need to drive safely. Go and pick up Mary, head along the highway. As we got onto the highway moving along, a third hawk flew in front of my car, again from north to south. The thought at that point occurred to me was that these 3 hawks represent the 3 of us. 2 came as a pair, Mary and myself traveled. 1 came as a solo, Mim, she traveled on her own to get to 6 Nations. The second bird sighting was the cardinal. As we physically got to Ohsweken, the territory, we were probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 miles from the speedway, the Ohsweken Speedway where the powwow was held. And a cardinal flew very directly right in front of my car, very blatant, very obvious. Mary turns to me and says that was a sign that a deceased loved one is with us. A thought that went through my head when she said that was, well, maybe that's an auntie, maybe that's an uncle. And then another thought was that regardless, this is an ancestor. So here we see that connection to ancestors again. Our ancestors are moving us, kind of giving us the signal that, we're on the right path. They're glad we're here. The third was a crow. Mary and I stopped very briefly to have a quick bathroom break before we got to the speedway. And as we did so, we stepped out of the car, and up from the high treetops along a tower was a crow. And he was just singing and singing and singing, caw, caw, caw. My first thought was, he's welcoming us. He's singing to us, welcome. It's about time you got here. My first thought was, you know what? You made it safely. We're glad you got here. It took us almost 3 hours, but you know what? We're glad you're here. But as I sit here in front of you, sharing this reflection with you today, a second thought occurs to me. That maybe what he was also saying was, welcome, Michelle. It's about time you got here. See? Powerful. Your ancestors have been waiting for you. They've been waiting for you a long time to come and be here with them. Really empowering and a powerful experience. Another important reflection was observing how many non-Indigenous people were there at the powwow, embracing the power and the beauty of Indigenous culture. They were tapping their feet and dancing, standing, clapping, cheering. And when the arena was opened for everyone to come and dance, so many of them did. I was so moved by the connectedness of spirits coming together to simply celebrate each other, to celebrate life free from judgment and stigma, discrimination, to simply celebrate love, kindness, respect, and acceptance of each other as simply human beings having a powerful and connected life experience. Which brings us to our final reflection for today's video, which, as I said in the very beginning, I want to tie us back to the original purposes of this channel. If you've seen my first video, I go into lengths of talking about that. I'll post the link to that very first video. I'll attach it here if you haven't seen it. But one of the aims or purposes of this channel was for us to explore and mindfully share and work at the growth and development of us being more holistically balanced beings, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And we are aiming to do so by wisely sharing and blending Indigenous and non-Indigenous teachings and learnings and thoughts and holistic healing practices together, to give respectful space to each other's voices. You were also challenged to ask yourself and challenge yourself in what can you do to create a more equitable path towards truth and understanding and reconciliation and ultimately healing between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, between all of us as spirit beings on a life journey together. In that spirit, I will bring forth, reignite the question originally that I brought to you, which is, what can you do? What can I do to make a difference here? What can we do to create a more, what can we do to bring ourselves more towards truth and reconciliation and to connect and heal together? Maybe powwow is the answer. Maybe powwow is a part of that answer. It's part of the journey. In powwow, what I really learned is the power of what it means to stand in that connectedness with each other, the connection that comes from the drum, the heartbeat of Mother Earth, of using our voice to sing, to praise creation and each other, to dance out our passion, to dance out our joy and our love for each other, and to feast, to share in our gifts and blessings. Niao yo. Thank you for tuning in to this video today. I am humbly honored that you tuned in and listened. I appreciate your time to allow me to simply reflect and to be vulnerable in my reflections today. If powwow is something you're really interested in, I will take a link and I'll post it to the comment section below for you to maybe check out some other powwows that will be going on in the province of Ontario between now and I think early October. I think early October is when the last powwows happen. So I'll post a link, but in that link is also going to be powwows that have passed from the spring and summer already. So it's going to give you an idea of potential powwows for next spring and early summer should you choose to want to do that as well. Please give us a thumbs up, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to our channel. I really hope you got something out of today's reflections. I hope something really resonated with you. For example, if you're into bird medicine, I'd love for you to post a comment below and let me know what you think about that bird experience. May you go in a good and beautiful way. Niao yo.